Hey everyone, off the Mike Sports Network here. Man, we got treated to a couple of great semifinals in the college football playoff. Texas and Ohio State, it's a 28-14 win for the Buckeyes. The Buckeyes were expected to win this game, but it was a lot more closer for comfort. I give Texas credit. They fought back. But at the end of this game, a lot of head scratching decisions, and Steve Sarkisian's going to be thinking about that sequence down near the goal line after a couple of pass interference penalties. They needed to get a yard. They miss on a throw on first down. They miss on a throw on third down. They have the toss on second. They have the toss on second down that loses like 6 or 7 yards. And then, of course, the play of that could, depending on if Ohio State wins the championship, they're expected to do so. But it's anybody's guess. Notre Dame feels like a team of destiny right now. But Jack Sawyer, strip sack of his former roommate, Quinn Ewers, goes 83 yards for a touchdown to basically seal this game. And Ohio State's going to the national championship game. They haven't been there since the COVID season in 2021. Here's the ironic thing: they were in the first ever iteration of the college football playoff national championship game. Now in the 12-team format, they're going to play for a national title against a former Buckeye, in Marcus Freeman. It's just like this is an insane thing. No SEC teams for the second consecutive year of CFP or play a postseason format who to crown a national champion. It's not going to include the SEC. So, and you've got two of these powerhouse brands facing off in the national championship game is just it's amazing. Like, we've been thinking that this is the way it might go after the earlier rounds, and then the way that the semifinal round was formed, it seemed like we were going to be heading towards Ohio State and Notre Dame, but like there's definitely some doubt in there for a while. Um, but I got to hand it to Will Howard. He's really righted the ship since that bad Michigan game. There was points where this offense kind of sputtered. They had some penalties, but for the most part, they've been able to overcome adversity since that miserable defeat at the show. And I'm not gonna listen. I was very critical, like many people, of Ryan Day, in the aftermath of that loss, a couple months ago. It feels like it happened like a lifetime ago because of Ohio State's now won, 3 consecutive games, all by double figures. This one was much more closer for comfort for a large chunk of this game. This was tied at 14. It was 21-14, with Texas potentially being in range to tie the game with under 3 minutes to go. But Ryan Day's got a chance to do something that I didn't think was possible at the start of December. And here we are filming this, recording this on January 10th, the championship game, 10 days from when we record this. And Ryan Day's got a chance to do something that is truly the embodiment of modern college football. Lose to your biggest rival and win a national championship. He has not beaten Michigan since 2019, his first year full-time as the head coach of Ohio State. He has not beaten Michigan since that point. And he's got a chance to win a national championship a week from Monday in Atlanta against Notre Dame, a former Buckeye. So just think about this run that Ryan Day's been on and this tear that he has been on in terms of coaching, in terms of these games that he's had to win, and the doubt that was on this Ohio State team. So they faced Tennessee in the first round at the shoe. This is 3 weeks after the most miserable loss of his coaching career. I wanted him fired. 13-10 to the worst Michigan team in a decade, that you should have beaten at home for a chance to go to a Big Ten championship game. You get kicked out of the Big Ten championship game. You're facing Tennessee in an 8-9 game where almost half the stadium, one of the most historic cathedrals of college football, the Horseshoe in Columbus, is filled with almost half Tennessee fans. And Ohio State proceeded to destroy a really good Tennessee team. They were up 21-0 in the first quarter. Then you go to the Rose Bowl. I was at that game. This game was over in the first 3 minutes of the game Ohio State scored in a minute. They were up 34 to nothing on the number one team in the country, Oregon, a team that had beaten them earlier this year and had gone 13-0 prior to that game. Then you face a Texas team that, in terms of talent, is probably comparable to you and is the only SEC squad left in this field. And you're basically playing a de facto road game because the game's in Arlington, which is not that far from Austin. So now they're in a position, hey, to complete the quadruple effect or whatever, the trifecta, or whatever you want to call it. Now Ryan Day is facing Notre Dame, who has not won a national championship since 1988, since before I was born. And the coach of Notre Dame is a former Ohio State Buckeye, who a lot of people wanted to be the head coach, ironically, when people were lobbying for him to get fired. He was at the top of everybody's list. And I've said Marcus Freeman ain't leaving Notre Dame. He's got a really good thing going there. He ain't leaving Notre Dame, even for Ohio State. And what Ryan Day has accomplished in the last month and a half or so is one of the great coaching jobs that I've ever seen. And yes, it hasn't always been perfect. Like, this game against Texas should have probably been a lot more of a comfortable win for Ohio State, but Ohio State kept them around in the game. There were some penalties. Steve Sarkisian was actually doing a really good job out coaching him and Chip Kelly. But then near the end of this game, once it got tied at 14, Ohio State put their foot down, had a nice long drive, took the lead, made some critical calls. A fourth down call for Will Howard leads to a first down. And then the Jack Sawyer play, which is just amazing. An Ohio kid who wanted to be a Buckeye came back for this exact reason. He didn't get to accomplish beating Michigan, but he sacks his former roommate who left Ohio State after 4 months to go to Texas. He takes it back for a touchdown, and Ohio State's a win away from the national championship. But Ryan Day deserves so much credit for taking shit from people like me and everybody who was just ready to write this team off for what he has been able to do against the gauntlet that he has had to go through. Tennessee is a really good football team. People will question the validity of the SEC this year. Tennessee's a really good football team, and they took up half your stadium because of how bad the vibes were in Columbus. You then go to the Rose Bowl, beat Oregon, the best team in college football all year, and then Texas, who was probably considered like maybe the second or third best team in college football all year, up until when they lost to Georgia, and you beat them in a de facto home game. Now you got Notre Dame, who's like America's darling. And yeah, some people will dismiss Ryan Day, saying, oh, this is what it was supposed to be with, the $20 million NIL roster. Still, it is hard, given all the adversity and all the shit that guy had to take for 3 weeks to go on this run, one of the great coaching jobs that I can remember. And he's got a chance to be a Buckeye legend if he wins on January 20th in Atlanta. Because they're outside of Woody Hayes. Urban Meyer's won a championship. Jim Tressel's won a championship. There are legends. If you win a national championship for the Ohio State University, you are a god. And some stuff and he's still going to have to figure out the Michigan stuff, but this is the most modern college football, and it's fitting that it happens in the first year of the 12-team playoff. That an Ohio State team that loses to the worst Michigan team that I've seen in a decade, no Jim Harbaugh, and not really benefiting from a forward pass at all, and to go on this run against all these great teams, and if they beat Notre Dame, a former Buckeye, the toast of the town, really, and really one of the stories in college football, since Notre Dame hasn't lost basically since September. So that's another thing that we need to talk about there too. But that's going to be a hell of a game in Atlanta. We'll have a lot more coverage about it. Amazing set of semifinals. This 12-team playoff, yes, the early rounds did not look good, but this is ruled. This is ruled. Upsets all over the place, thrilling semifinal games. Like, this has been awesome. And I can't wait to see this Notre Dame-Ohio State game. It's going to be one of the highest-rated college football games in a long, long time, because these are two of the biggest brands in college football. Notre Dame hasn't been back there in 12 years. They haven't won a national title in 37 years, basically, because if you go back to 1988, like, they haven't won it since then. A lot of great players have come through that university. Ohio State hasn't won one since 2014, the first CFP of the 4-team iteration. So this is going to be a lot of fun. But get at me on Twitter at off the mic 28 at OT Mike Sports, and I will see you guys soon. Bye bye.